we're now going to get down to the refining. So basically we've got a rough shape all over. I'm going to go and soften into all these edges, and the aim of the game here is you've got a hair system on top of the head and you've got the client's own natural hair. The art of what we're trying to do is make the two connect perfectly together. When it's someone's natural hair all through, it already connects naturally together. But the skill here is how we can make it connect. So I prefer to use more softening techniques, so the hair just naturally blends and kind of serrates into itself, opposed to using club cut techniques. So I'm just going to go through softening all the top of the system up, then we'll start to refine with a little bit more scissor over comb. We will probably as well use some of the thinning scissors just through the bottom into this connection, just on the edges of the hair. Now, as a hairdresser, I'm not personally a lover of thinning scissors, but for this purpose, it does work relatively well. So what I'm now cutting into is just the system, and I'm just the final half an inch, the last half inch of the system, it's just using the points of the scissors to start softening any bulk within it. It's now working into the top section. The knit is just nice, quite fine at the edges, and it just kind of blends perfectly into the hair. What you've seen me do from the start is the top, the bottom, going back to the top again for more refinement, then I'll come back into the bottom. And we just keep moving that shape closer and closer into what we want until it's just perfect. So what I am going to do now is, like I say, run the thinning scissors just through the edges, mainly through the middle part. Is just that I'm starting to get the perfect connection, take a little bit of the weight out and just starting to work into the system. I will then refine it with the scissors again, but it's just to kind of get that serrated edge where it just starts knitting into itself. Just a small amount of hair at a time. You will probably be aware, you've probably never seen me using a pair of thinning scissors before. I don't like them because in my view, they're a little bit of a cheating tool. But as I mentioned before, they are very good just for that connection between natural hair and into systems. What we're trying to do now is just get the characteristic of their own hair, our model's own hair, sorry, and the system. It just works seamlessly together, and that's with us using the thinners and kind of thinning the edges. It's allowed that. I've kind of watched as I've been cutting the hair to see that it's responding together and it starts looking like the same product opposed to client's hair and hair system. Not going in too short straight away and too aggressively. That's why I like to do this kind of work with scissors. Just I can gradually take the hair down so I'm getting the perfect length to match in with the system. If you do go in with the clippers, once you've made that cut, you're kind of committed to that, and you might find you have to go back in and start editing the system more to get that connection perfect, which I don't really feel is the right way to go about it. You can just use the points of this as I'm doing, just as I'm coming up to the system, to keep the refinement. So you can just see I'm just not coming into the system, but I'm using the points there so I don't get any harsh lines. So what you saw me do on the opposite side is I started the actual scissor over combing from the side of the head. I quite like to do that because I like to fit in the best shape as possible through the ear and then carry that into the back. What I've done here is I've worked at this side to get the right length that I want, then just carried that into the back. I will now work the opposite way, the side back into the back. And it's just my way, how I like to do it. It's very easy to go in and get too short at the back and then struggle to kind of get that the perfect balance and the shape at the sides, because there is less hair there for you to work with. So it's just my own personal preference, that one. Taking the next layer down. I'm just kind of cross-checking the scissor over comb now, working on a diagonal angle, which I like to do, so that if there's any slight scissor mark, we're just kind of removing them. Lots of people have asked me before, what styles can you have with hair systems? You can virtually have any styles. A lot of people, don't forget, who have a hair system, the craving to have a little bit of hair, so having a little bit of length kind of is quite a popular style. The one thing as well that we find is by moving the hair back, it's a very fresh look, but also people like to show off sometimes the hairline because to show how realistic, and when you look at how realistic the hairlines actually are, people wouldn't believe it's a hair system. So they kind of sometimes use a style with a little, showing a little bit more of the face to kind of give them a little bit more confidence. But the only one thing I would say about the hair systems is I don't generally like to go really, really short because at that point, if you get any lifts or any movements at all of the system through that month period of what it's going to be on your scalp, you don't have enough hair to cover that, so keeping a little bit of length often works better, in my view. Just checking that we've got a seamless connection between the hair into the system coming through the front hairline. We're just cleaning up the hairline, just removing some of the unwanted hair, working around the ears. So now it's always good to check off your haircut when it's dry, so we can see when it obviously dries into shape, and if the client blow dries it, how it's going to sit. I really quite like the blow dried finish, but sometimes clients would like it to be a bit more damp, so you get a little bit more of a textured look. You can still put styling creams in. My advice is always use products that are easy to wash out, so water soluble products. All the products that will be listed on our site will be suitable to use with the hair system. We would have pre-used them or pre-approved them prior to putting them onto our site, so you can buy from us with confidence if you want to do that. I am going to damp Josh's hair down now, just then you can see what it looks like damp as well, so a dry look, a wet look. Just before I do that, I will put a little bit of our misting oil through so you can get a full picture of it being dry. So I am going to use a styling cream. It's a little bit of a putty. It is water soluble. Like I say, all suitable products that we've tried and tested will be on our site for you to purchase. You can style as you require. I personally like a little bit of lift in the system.